How we doing? What a day, huh? This is the best part of the day right here. Taking the time once a year to recognize the top 1% at our organization. That's what tonight is about. We have 20 awards. And you say, wow, 20 awards, that's a lot of awards. It is. But we've expanded our awards this year from last year to include a lot of our back office and support organizations who work tirelessly every day and deserve the same amount of recognition as our production people do. I would like to call to the stage Randy Taylor to announce our first winner. Randy?
Thank you. Thank you. Now, the good news is I only have 2 minutes, and I lost my speech, so I'm going to ad-lib a little bit. First thing I want to do is thank all the managers in the Imperial Valley region. They did an outstanding job. We truly appreciate it. They made this job of selecting one of you to be Branch Manager of the Year for Imperial Valley very, very difficult. But we did make a selection. Now, that selection is a branch manager that just doesn't manage one branch, but 2 branches. And we're not talking about a regular branch. We're talking about non-traditional branches. Branches that are open 361 days a year. Now, that means 4 days off, people, 4 days off. That's remarkable, but this guy did it for 2 branches. So that's exceptional. In addition to that, this branch manager stays busy in our community. He stayed busy by becoming a member of the Rotary Club in Imperial. In addition to that, he was also the board member and treasurer for United Way of Imperial County. Now, in addition to that, all of us have something to be thankful for because this manager, because nobody wants to work Sundays and vacations and holidays, he became a training ground for the rest of us managers. Meaning a training ground his employees looked to transfer away from him. Not because they didn't enjoy working for him, but because they wanted to work or have their weekends off. Never heard a complaint about this manager. In fact, once in a while I called him up just to see if he was there on a Saturday and Sunday, and yes, he was there. So I am extremely proud to announce that Jorge Alcantar, branch manager of the Waterman and Wildcat branch, as the Imperial Valley Branch Manager of the Year.
I'd like to introduce Kathy Dravis to announce the Branch Manager of the Year for the Coachella Valley. Kathy.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. Tough act to follow, Randy. Wow. I also had a very tough decision to make in the recommendation for the winner in the Coachella Valley. This manager is dedicated to making a significant difference in a small local community. This manager has gained the respect and is held in high regard for a devotion to influencing positive and innovative change in every way possible. This manager successfully met challenging events by being a strong and determined leader, never losing sight of team development. Staff mentoring and team building were a primary focus during 2012. Strategic initiatives included managing and leading change to increase productivity and commitment. Although this award is not about the balanced scorecard only, overall year-to-date branch achievement was 141% to goal, over a regional average of 94%. Please join me in congratulating the winner for the 2012 Branch Manager of the Year Award for the Coachella Valley, managing both Ontario and Thousand Palms, Greg Penny.
it brings me great pride to bring up, or actually she's already up here, huh? Yep. Anyway, the Branch Manager of the Year Award for Central Valley, the presenter, Miss Deanna Blaze.
Thank you, Mark. I am honored to be here this evening to recognize one of our 12 exceptional branch managers out of the Central Valley, because we truly have an exceptional region. The individual I'm honoring tonight is known for thinking outside of the box when it comes to business development. He is always thinking of creative ways to package services, provide solutions for clients that more than meet their needs, and he knows when to bring his business partners in. He works closely with his deposit relationship manager, business banker, CBG partner, branch staff, or regional, and understands the meaning of synergy when it comes to bringing the best team and proposal possible to represent Rabobank in a winning manner. When it comes to coaching his team, this witty leader shows a wonderful example to follow. He offers examples every day to his team on how to build rapport with customers. He teaches listening skills to offer the right services to customers for cross-sell, and delivers a consistent and fun management style to his team. He is involved in the business community and lends his time to impactful boards such as the Kern County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the Downtown Business Association. The Kern County Hispanic Chamber of Commerce named him and Rabobank Corporation of the Year for their involvement and dedication to this important market sector. His business partners say he is a dream come true because he involves us early in the business development process and knows how to refer the business. This manager's branch was ranked #1 in the state, and collectively with his business partners, booked $5.3 million in loans and was 446% to goal. He finished the year with $20 million in deposits at 124% to goal. And as little as 2 years, this de novo office income has gone from $48,000 to $413,000, or 760% growth. This manager's department is on target to be profitable location in 2013, and among his respective region, his branch is ranked #1 with 231 scorecard points. So without further ado, the winner of our 2012 Branch Manager of the Year for Central Valley is Hector Garcia.
And the last presentation for this segment of our awards, Sharisa Sopawaga for the North Central Valley Branch Manager of the Year.
So I apologize about my voice quality. I want to first start by saying that all of the managers of the North Central Valley are just top leaders. And so in determining our very top manager of the year, Ed and I looked to someone who I think we would describe as having a tenacious focus. Like many of you, she had significant market and economic challenges to overcome, but she was able to push through these obstacles and lead her team to the #1 spot in our regional ranking. In terms of percentage to goal, she achieved 52% market share. Now that's significant because in her community, she only has 1,300 households. So to move that dial just a little bit takes a lot of effort. We're very, very proud of her for that. Along with her business partners, she was instrumental in facilitating a $3.2 million water bond deal. She exceeded in her non-interest income and non-interest expense goals, achieving 103% and 127% respectively. Originally a city girl, and I like to kid her about this, this manager relocated a few years ago to one of the most remote locations within Rabobank's footprint. Her branch is located less than 25 miles outside of the Yosemite National Forest. This leader is truly entrenched in her community. She has established herself as a known center of influence for banking and for financial services. Her external civic and professional affiliations include serving as a Rotarian board member, as well as the vocational chair for her local high school. She sets the leadership example by seeking innovative ways to manage, always eager to try new things and new methods. She made a personal commitment this year to herself by re-entering college, which I think alone is a true accomplishment. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to announce the North Central Valley Region's Top Manager of the Year Award to Venus Colombini, Manager of the Groveland Branch.
Well, as Mark mentioned in his opening comments, this is the first year we're actually going to be recognizing folks in the IT operations realm, so really excited about that. I think, selfishly, that kind of thing makes me smile because I think we are the backbone of the bank, and every day we try to be part of your success. So I'm going to ask for the two presenters to come up, which is Debbie Zimmer and Debbie Sellers, to join me on the stage. And John. Just to recap a little bit of 2012 for us, I'll make it short and sweet, is I feel like this was a year that we really kind of looked internally to try to strengthen our organization. So we brought people like Julie Richardson and Charissa Sarpoga to the IT ops organization, and I feel like just their being part of our group gets us better connected with our client, which is you folks. So I'm really excited about the direction that we're going. And we're going to start the presentations. I'm going to ask for Debbie Sellers to come up, and we're going to introduce the winner of the IT award. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm honored to present. Thank you. I'm honored to present the 2012 Support Services Employee of the Year Award. This is a new award this year. And you've probably all heard before, don't sweat the small stuff. Well, that isn't always true. Luckily, we have an employee that pays attention to all of the small stuff. Even when our clients say, it's only 20 bucks, don't worry about it. But this never stops, this never stops her diligence in saving the bank every dollar she can. Over time, these small amounts help add up to much larger amounts. She continues to keep the bank's best interest for interest expense and cost savings top in her mind. She continually acts responsibly with the bank's funds, keeping a tight rein on costs and expenses as though it was her own money. She stays close to her clients' needs in ensuring they're responsible or responded to promptly. She ensures they have the services that are needed and or required for their positions in a cost-effective manner for the bank and their divisions. The following is a recent compliment that was received and rings similar to many that are received. I just wanted to say that all too often, people that I deal with don't understand the problem or the urgency, and she understood both. The whole process was a breeze for me because of her. I also had a couple of basic questions about the process, and she didn't make me feel like an idiot for asking. My opinion is you have a valuable and great employee, and I wanted to let you know how much I appreciate her efforts on my behalf. Even with a small team of 2, the recurring savings for the organization has been immense in one area. For telecommunications alone, she's saved the bank over $1.9 million in recurring expenses. So as you can tell, the small stuff really can add up and make a big difference. So I'm very honored to congratulate the 2012 Support Services Employee of the Year, our Business Services Management Manager, Shanna Hodges.
Our next presenter is going to be Debbie Zimmer. She's going to introduce the winner of the Call Center Award winner of the year.
Thank you. Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here tonight to announce the winner of the Call Center Customer Service Excellence Award. This individual will be celebrating her 10-year anniversary with the bank this year and was responsible for assisting over 1,100 customers a month over the phone. She is a strong work performer. She exceeded or met her goals in the area of customer service, quality, and efficiency. But most importantly, she brings a very strong work ethic to the department each day and promotes a very strong team spirit in the department. So I'd like to announce Griselda Reyes as the award winner.
I'd like to invite Nico Zeidema, our Chief Risk Officer, to come up and make the next presentations. The man who knows everything.
So I'm very proud and excited to announce two new awards. We have the award for Risk Services Employee of the Year, and the other new award is the Loss Mitigation Employee of the Year. So before I get into that stuff, Karen Cruz and Bob Bennett, can you please join me? Before we go into the individual awards though, I really want to acknowledge the credit team and all they've accomplished this year. I couldn't have done it without them, and without going into all too much detail, I just want to pick out a few items. I think we have protected the bank and have received clean awards from the OCC, internal audit, and last but not least from the CFPB. So I think that's a great achievement, guys. And the other thing that I'm modestly proud of, I'm actually really proud of, is that we, as a team, including all of your help, we have reduced our delinquencies by over 25% year over year. And our non-accruals by over 20%. So that's, again, great accomplishment. But without further delay, I would like to ask Karen to introduce the Employee for Risk Services Award.
Hi. This individual that we have chosen as to be the Risk Services Employee of the Year is an individual that is a critical partner in the GFM RNA business that we have within this bank. With his checks, with his balances, with his discipline, the business has been able to grow tremendously over the past year. It was announced already earlier this morning by our CFO that the business went up incredibly, and we had overall a GFM fee of 15.9 million this year. That this person that we have nominated and was really selected was a great partner in and accomplished all the things that need to be accomplished. And what we also would like to say is that it was expected that it was a little bit lower than last year, but it was actually doubled compared to what was expected. So I want to give a big applause for that. This person is also instrumental of rolling out Harland Credit Quest, which is a tool that is being implemented right now, and you will be using over the next few months. So it's always hard when you are from a credit perspective and try to keep it down a little bit, and at the same time there's a lot of drive from the business to keep it up. So this person is very instrumental in that and has been able to work with that and has always been very professional, very honest, very open to me, very respectful to everybody. So I would like to congratulate Brett Hamilton.
Now I would like to have Bob Bennett please come up and introduce the award for Loss Mitigation Employee of the Year. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, everyone. Again, the Special Assets Department is a little strange, is that we don't want to grow our portfolio. I have the script. I'm decided not to use it because, again, it doesn't fit. What do we do to increase our volume? We don't want to increase our volume. I'm also very fortunate, and I assume that Thomas Madison and his group is also in the same boat. We had a lot of great people that we could nominate for this award. It happened to fall into my group this year. This particular person reduced volume from roughly 102 million to 70 million, which is a fantastic result. But there's other things too that put this person over the top. We had a very complicated restructure. We had a participation with another bank, including Rabo International, and we all set our separate loans. The attorneys for the participation group that are also representing us were also trying to get into our collateral. We ran through 20 versions of documents, and they kept trying to eat into our collateral to reduce our value of our loans, or our protection. And by going through the documents multiple times, we avoided potential losses, big time. And with that, my nominee, or the winner for the Loss Mitigation Employee of the Year, is Avis Gaffrey.
So these are the final 5 Branch Manager of the Year awards, and we'll go ahead and get it started, and I'll introduce Mr. Ron Jones from the North Central Coast.
Good evening. Wow, what a deal this is, huh? This is great. First of all, I'd like to, really thank my branch managers in our region. They're all excellent, and I really want to thank you for all the hard work you did this year. This was tough. This was a tough decision because I know all of you worked really hard. The person that I'm going to name the top branch manager of the year for North Central Coast region is a very, very, how can I say it? She's got a lot of vitality, a lot of energy, and is a great leader and manager. In her branch this year, she has a branch of 5, and a good part of the year, she was missing 2 of those people. One was her CSM, and she still reached the attainment of the #1 ranked branch in our region for the North Central Coast for the whole year. And I got to say, I hired her in 2005, with Harry's approval, of course. So anyway, this person started out volunteering in her community when she was 11 years old. 11 years old. And she was working on the largest community event in her town. And she worked her way up, and she became director of the cook-off stage for the Gilroy Garlic Festival. And then she went on to become a board member of the St. Louis Hospital Board Foundation, or Foundation Board, excuse me. And she also was last year the president of her Rotary Club. And she also was last year heavily involved in the Chamber of Commerce. And she also was very involved in many community events and many service organizations. And what really put her over the top in our region and all the branches was that she reached 228% of her loan goal. So it is with great pride that I asked Dina Franklin to come up as the top branch manager of the North Central Coast region for 2012.
All right, I would like to introduce from the Mid-Central Coast, Mr. Dan Snowden, to introduce the award for the Mid-Central Coast South area. Thank you very much.
On behalf of all of my managers that do a great job, I want to thank all of you and our regional president, Steve Harding, for the support that he gives us each and every year. The manager that I'm going to recommend tonight for this award is simply a monster. I mean, every year she accomplishes her goals. She ended this year, 2012, with a rating of 151% to goal, which was #1 in my region. The next closest office in my region was 118% to goal. She exceeded the deposit goal and became the 5th office in my region to obtain $100 million in deposits. So that's a pretty phenomenal growth goal there. She also finished the year at 271% to goal in loan production. And for our mortgage partners out there, I want you to know that she referred 40 booked mortgages to your department. So that's pretty phenomenal. We have another little company out there that we do business with called First Data. She also referred over 100 booked merchant accounts to First Data as well. So that's pretty amazing. And what really helps me out, this employee is such a wonderful mentor. I was able to promote one of her former employees to a branch manager this year, and I was also able to promote one of her employees to a financial services officer. So she's actually turning out other employees for the benefit of Rabobank. So I want to thank her for her mentorship. She always comes fully prepared to our RAP meetings. She's ready to engage, she's fully prepared, and she's always willing to share best practices there. And the little community that she lives in, 4 branch managers of Wells Fargo, they've had 4 branch managers there in 5 years. She sent them packing after they realized that they could never make their goals while working in the same community that she works in. Certainly a leader in her community, the face of Rabobank there. She served as board president of the Marion Foundation, among many other charitable organizations as well. This is someone who brings energy, compassion, and commitment to work every single day. Please join me in welcoming the 2012 Branch Manager of the Year for South Mid-Coast Region, Angelica Gutierrez.
So the next presenter for the Mid-Central Coast North, Mr. Scott Laycock.
Thank you, Mark. Boy, it's hard to see up here. Must be all my blind spots.
Thank you, Scott. Have a good night.
Yeah, I'm here to present the Branch Manager of the Year Award for the North Mid-Central Coast region. This was a very difficult selection, as there were many branch managers who performed at a very high level this year. However, one of them stood apart from the rest. This manager literally rose to the top of the region at 178% combined year-to-date scorecard rating. His success was driven by their loan production at the branch, coming in at 151% to goal. This manager was proven to be a great business developer by growing the branch's small business portfolio, as well as referring several deals to our region's BBO and CBG departments. Additionally, this manager is very involved in the community. He's active in the local chamber, Rotary, and Elks Club, and done an excellent job of leveraging off of that community involvement to bring in new relationships to the bank. Please join me in recognizing as the 2012 Branch Manager of the Year for the North Mid-Central Coast, John Mascarenas.
Our next presenter, I want to share a quick story about him before we bring him over, or bring him up. Larry Velasquez was the regional manager for the Central Valley, and he recently moved over to the South Central Coast. And it's one of those things as an organization that I really, really appreciate, because the chance to share people across our lovely organization helps break down silos, helps give people exposure to different management styles and other processes. So I applaud Larry for taking that risk. And supporting the bank and helping to bring some additional leadership to the South Central Coast. So, Larry Velasquez.
Thanks, Mark. Good evening. I'm here this evening to present the Branch Man of the Year Award for the South Central Coast. The person I'm presenting the award to is known for her consistency and her follow-through. She's very active with developing her team. And when I reached out to her staff and asked for some comments, one of them said to me, you know, I've worked with her for a while now, and she's just an amazing woman, and she's taught me very much in the time we've had together. And I really think that really summarizes how her whole team sees her on a daily basis. When you're talking about Rabobank and our core value of being involved, you can't help but to think about this person. She's very active in her community, serving on many boards and nonprofit organizations. All in all, in 2012, she served on 8 nonprofit boards, serving in the capacity of board of director, treasurer, and committee member ranging from finance to HR. When you look at the numbers for last year, they were quite impressive. She grew her deposits by $8.5 million, a 14% increase year over year, and grew her loans by 193% over her year-end target. And she was also very instrumental in referring a $2.6 million construction loan to one of her business partners, with an additional $1.3 million in successful referrals in CoreTrack. And actually, I'm just very impressed that she utilizes CoreTrack, because we didn't have a lot of that when I came over here, so it was great to see. And in addition, she had other CoreTrack production of $7.2 million for the year. And lastly, I'll say this. If you were here today for the meeting and you saw the end of the presentation, it really spoke to why she's a fearless leader. And even in my meetings, she always speaks up. She's never scared to ask a question, and she always participates very productively with anything that we're doing. So it's my honor tonight to award Kari Guerrero, 2012 Branch Man of the Year.
And so the last award, or the last Branch Manager of the Year award, introducing Karen Fields from the North State.
Thank you. This manager is always the first to congratulate their peers for doing a good job. This person is always on the phone calling successful people to find out what they're doing so they can improve what they're doing. This manager fosters a rewarding work environment, giving their small but mighty team clear direction and effective feedback, which contributes to the positive production results. This individual ended 2012 with an overall scorecard ranking of 120% to goal. Growing their deposits by 18 million or 105% to goal. Loan production of approximately $2 million or 159% to goal. And was one of the very few offices to exceed their non-interest income goal, growing that to $78,000. This manager's office started the year at the bottom of the North State rankings and improved month over month. I look forward to playing big with this manager in 2013. Gives me great pleasure to introduce the North State 2012 Branch Manager of the Year, Scott Cisneros.
I've been in financial services over 30 years, and I don't say it that often, but I must admit that in the 4 years I've been with Rabobank, I probably have not been prouder to be part of a finance team as dedicated and talented as the group that we've been able to form over the last 4 to 5 years. You know, in 2007, the audit committee was told in November of 2007 by Ernst & Young that they could not sign off on the financial statements. And if you think about that, if we were a public company, we would have been delisted from the NASDAQ or the NYSE, and we would have had visitors from something called the SEC. And in April of 2008, Ernst & Young left the field because they couldn't finish their audit. I mean, it's almost mind-boggling. And in coming on board and just working with my colleagues to build a team, I'm just very proud of what they've been able to accomplish. From Randy Schell, our treasurer, to Megan Mays, our chief accounting officer, to Troy Kay, our head of financial planning analysis, Curtis Dare, our controller, Susan Allison, our head of operational risk, and Saket Puri, who's the head of our credit risk analysis team. I've never been as proud as today in terms of trying to form a team that hopefully has brought some service to the organization. There's a lot of parts of finance that are quite sexy and exciting, not as sexy as Nico. I mean, excuse me. But you know, things like acquisitions and things like that are real exciting. But there's things we do on a day-to-day basis that are not exciting, that are not real things that you can put your hands on. And the award today for finance is to someone who came on board last January and descended upon finance, and we brought her into a situation which is a little disaster. We came into a budget cycle that, we have to do budgets for IFRS, for GAAP, for head office, for all sorts of people. And I always talked to Troy and said, do you think she'll stay with us? Is she out of her mind? Am I out of her mind? And we know the answer to that. But in the midst of trying to get a budget done and trying to comply with all the directors of the home office, in the midst of very complicated procedures, we put in a brand new budgeting system called Tagetic. And she did that single-handedly, working with her colleagues, but really drove it with a great sense of humor and a great sense of patience. I really want to recognize Rebecca Vandermeer as our Finance Excellence Person of the Year. So Rebecca. I've been in financial services over 30 years, and I don't say it that often, but I must admit that in the 4 years I've been with Rabobank, I probably have not been prouder to be part of a finance team as dedicated and talented as the group that we've been able to form over the last 4 to 5 years. You know, in 2007, the audit committee was told in November of 2007 by Ernst & Young that they could not sign off on the financial statements. And if you think about that, if we were a public company, we would have been delisted from the NASDAQ or the NYSE, and we would have had visitors from something called the SEC. And in April of 2008, Ernst & Young left the field because they couldn't finish their audit. I mean, it's almost mind-boggling. And in coming on board and just working with my colleagues to build a team, I'm just very proud of what they've been able to accomplish. From Randy Schell, our treasurer, to Megan Mays, our chief accounting officer, to Troy Kay, our head of financial planning analysis, Curtis Dare, our controller, Susan Allison, our head of operational risk, and Saket Puri, who's the head of our credit risk analysis team. I've never been as proud as today in terms of trying to form a team that hopefully has brought some service to the organization. There's a lot of parts of finance that are quite sexy and exciting, not as sexy as Nico. I mean, excuse me. Bless you. No. But you know, things like acquisitions and things like that are real exciting. But there's things we do on a day-to-day basis that are not exciting, that are not real things that you can put your hands on. And the award today for finance is to someone who came on board last January and descended upon finance, and we brought her into a situation which is a little disaster. We came into a budget cycle that, we have to do budgets for IFRS, for GAAP, for head office, for all sorts of people. And I always talked to Troy and said, do you think she'll stay with us? Is she out of her mind? Am I out of her mind? And we know the answer to that. But in the midst of trying to get a budget done and trying to comply with all the directives of the Home Office, in the midst of very complicated procedures, we put in a brand new budgeting system called Tagetik. And she did that single-handedly, working with her colleagues, but really drove it with a great sense of humor and a great sense of patience. So in that regard, I really want to recognize Rebecca Vandermeer as our Finance Excellence Person of the Year. So Rebecca.
For the newcomer of the year. And this represents somebody who joined the organization, who joined community banking, and made a tremendous impact, not just from a financial perspective, but just in terms of the overall acceptance and success of our company, our bank, in that market. We put a new branch on the 3rd floor of an office building. Now, why anybody would put a branch on the 3rd floor of an office building is beyond me, but we did. And the promise that was made to me was, we're going to make that branch successful. We're going to grow it because we're going to hire the best banker in town, and that person is going to bring over a tremendous book of business. If I had $1 for every time somebody told me, if we hired somebody, they would bring over their book of business, I could retire. Because we hear about it, and yet what tends to happen? The book doesn't come. The customers stay where they are. In this situation, the customers came. And they came in droves. The goal for this branch from a deposit standpoint was $7 million. They're located with our ag team, Charles Day, up in the North Coast wine country. $7 million goal? Yeah, they're over $14 million. Wow. And mind you, again, this is the 3rd floor of an office building. So there's very little visibility, if any. No ATM, no parking. $14 million. Their loan goal for the first 6 months, because they only open in the middle of the year, was $1.2 million. They finished the year at $4 million. Well done. Numerous referrals from mortgage to equipment to leasing to the CBG team. Very proud to announce the 2012 Newcomer of the Year, Mr. Ron Labruzzo from Santa Rosa. So the other two important components of community banking is the mortgage division and obviously our commercial banking team. So I want to introduce Ms. Margaret Bond to announce the mortgage loan representative of 2012.
Before I get to the business at hand, I'd like to thank everyone here who contributed to a pretty good year at mortgage banking in 2012. That includes our AG and CBG business partners, all of the branch managers, the appraisal department, everyone who touched MBS in 2012. We could not have accomplished our goals without your support, patience and understanding, and most of all, your referrals. But success does not happen in a vacuum. When we look deeply into one person's success, we often find an entire team of folks who have made significant contributions. In this case, Mark Chandler, MBS Western Region Sales Manager, provided support, motivation, and a sounding board for those one-of-a-kind portfolio deals. Terry Sablon, the branch manager of the Santa Rosa branch in San Luis Obispo, made this MLR welcome in her branch and made him an important member of her team. The MBS operations staff processed, underwrote, docked, and funded the loans that were originated by this MLR. This recognition does not mean to diminish anyone's efforts, but it is an acknowledgement that we're all dependent on others for our success. Our mortgage loan representative of the year joined the bank in 2006. He's assigned to the Santa Rosa branch in San Luis Obispo. He consistently receives high marks from the operations staff in the quarterly surveys in which skill and knowledge, responsiveness, collaborative effort and attitude, and organization are reviewed. Our MLR of the year is an integral part of his branch and participates in branch-sponsored functions. Most recently attended a Women's Council of Realtors event with the branch manager and walked away with a handful of realtor referrals. He funded a total of $37.9 million in 2012, and Steve Harding, this is for you, of which $27.4 million was portfolio volume. Please join me in recognizing the outstanding job done by the mortgage loan representative of 2012, Scott Elmer. All right.
I'm very fortunate to work with the commercial relationship manager in Santa Barbara, who had a truly outstanding year. Let me just share some of the numbers with you. In 2012, he closed 14 loans totaling over $100 million with interest rate swaps that generated a swap fee income of $2.2 million. That's just amazing. These loans included transactions, a variety of transactions that included 3 refinances of large commercial office buildings, 2 corporate acquisitions, the construction and permanent financing of a 55-foot high-speed catamaran passenger boat, a 68-unit hotel in downtown Santa Barbara was a construction and renovation loan. A sorority house near UCSB. An athletic club, and a warehouse office building for the largest fresh produce distributor in Santa Barbara County. Just amazing variety of transactions that a lot of us don't ever see. He is amazing in the way that he gets deals done. You know, a lot of us in this bank, in this room, know how tough it is to get deals done. But this RM has the ability to work with and communicate effectively with his team members and other support groups within the bank to get deals done. He's also truly a team player. Teamwork is his middle name. To give you an example of this, late last year, one of his clients that he had transferred to the middle market group earlier in the year needed to close a $12 million loan before the end of the year. As it turns out, the senior banker that inherited this relationship earlier in the year was on vacation for 2 weeks. Well, this relationship manager didn't hesitate one bit, jumped in, met with the client's attorney, worked with the financial analyst group, credit administration, make sure that the CA got approved. Then he worked with credit support, loan documentation, in-house counsel, and the GFM group to make sure that the loan documents were ready to sign to meet the client's time frame. And not only that, this loan never appeared on his books, but in his mind, the client and the bank comes first. During 2012, he closed and funded over $100 million in loans. That's a big number. Half of those loans were either new clients or new loans to the bank. He generated, as I told you, $2.2 million in GFM fee income. In addition to that, $450,000 in loan fees, bringing his total non-interest income and fees to over $2.7 million in income. A truly remarkable achievement and a truly remarkable year. And if this wasn't enough, he started his first year of Pacific Coast Banking School last year and got engaged to be married. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure and distinct honor to present the Top Relationship Manager of the Year Award to the King of Swaps, Jason Wilson.
I'm the only one separating you between this place and the bar, so I better hurry up. I would like to call to the stage Bob Dingler and Don Toussaint, please. Can you come? Okay, the Middle Market Division was created in April of 2012. It was a little bit of a rocky beginning because half of the department decided to go to another bank. Nevertheless, Don Toussaint persevered, hired more people, and with the rest of the team was able to succeed and go way beyond budget. Don, it's your turn to introduce the award to the best RM in the Middle Market Division.
My pleasure. Thank you.
The next award is for the top senior banker in the Middle Market Division. The recipient of the award truly had an outstanding year on many levels. He exceeded all of his revenue goals, but also made a very significant contribution to both the division and to the bank. During the year, he worked very collaboratively with several other business units to close many transactions, and in doing so, generated $55 million in new loan growth compared to his goal of $20 million, $1.6 million in new fees compared to his goal of $200,000, established 4 very significant new relationships, one of which took about 18 months to close. Very complex transaction, very long sales cycle. He was also very helpful to me in establishing the middle market group. He's a very accomplished banker and provided a lot of insights, a lot of ideas. Was very, very helpful in doing that. Very experienced banker, very accomplished banker, and is certainly deserving to be our top performer for 2012. Please join me in congratulating Dan Guth.
About Bob Dickler and his agribusiness division. You saw the numbers today. They are outstanding, one year after the other. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Bob, please introduce the year 2012 RM of the agribusiness division.
I think you all heard today that we had a pretty good year in ag last year. We've had a few good years in a row, and it's a great source of pride for me because I have to congratulate my whole team because we don't do anything without people, and that's what drives everything. And I've got a great team, and the results speak for themselves. So congratulations to my team. And I want to clarify, somebody talked today, was making comments, and they said that they were very proud that Rabobank NA was ranked the #3 ag lender in the nation. And I'm very proud of that too. When I started 9 years ago, we were way down the ranks. And actually, and I watch these numbers very closely, but at the end of 2011, Wells Fargo was #1, Bank of the West was #2, and we were $100 million behind Bank of the West at #3. But I want to point out, and this should be a source of pride for all of you, is that Wells Fargo and Bank of the West, they make loans nationwide. All the Rabobank loans are within California. That's right. So, if we want to compare apples to apples, in the United States, we have Rabobank NA, we have Rabo Agrifinance, we have Rabobank International. So, I think you can say with good certainty that we are the largest provider of ag capital in the United States. So, yeah, I have a little story that goes back about 20 years. But 20 years ago, there are 3 of us in the room who were on part of the commission sales staff at Wells Fargo. Tom Franson, who's part of the agribusiness division now, and Nathan Cox, who just joined commercial banking in Northern California, and me. And as commission salespeople, you didn't have a lot of credibility from the credit world. You know, we never met a deal we didn't like. So Tom Franson was always #1 in the bank, and I got tired of chasing him, and I decided I wanted to take a different career path. So I raised my hand and I said I wanted to become a credit officer. Well, anybody that has any sense knows that a salesperson probably isn't a good credit officer. But I got the chance anyway, and I was doing okay. And I was in Tulare at Wells Fargo, and a young guy came up. He was part of our management training program, credit training program. And so I was the credit officer. And one of his first attempts at doing a loan write-up, I got to read and approve. And the company was a wreck. They were upside down in their current position. So he wrote this report. And I'll never forget, I tease him about this all the time, but one of his statements was that they had negative working capital, which was mitigated by an overdraft. So I knew at that point he was probably going to be a good business developer. So 3 years ago, we had the chance to bring him over to Rabobank. And we don't let him do a lot of underwriting. Okay? But he's absolutely the best at what he does, one of the best I've ever known. In his 3 years here, he has booked new loan commitments of $472 million. In 2012, he booked new loan commitments totaling $207 million, and he also generated swap fees of $1.6 million. So I am proud to call him my colleague, proud to call him my friend, and I'd like to introduce David Presley in 2012.
Okay, and here comes the last one. By now you realize that this is like the Oscars. And with the Oscars, you know that the last award is the best one. So here we go with the best one. Tonight I have the honor of introducing a new recognition program called the RNA Top Volunteer of the Year. From the beginning in California in 2002, Rabobank has encouraged employees to be involved in their local communities, which I believe is a critical factor to RNA's successes in those communities. We are involved in numerous ways, through sponsorships, through donations, grants, but also, and most importantly, through the volunteer work that our employers do in their local communities. When you open up Amnet, soon to be called Sundial, on any given day, there is always messages about employees or group of employees having participated in a community event. Not only is RNA involved, but the fact that our employees are the faces of their local communities reflect on RNA as being a bank that is a center of the community, a bank that is nearby its customers. You and your employees show leadership by supporting RNA's communities and making them thrive. We have introduced the Top Volunteer Award Program to thank our employees and their community involvement. Starting last August, Rabobankers were encouraged through Amnet to update their volunteer hours. And you all did. You did a fantastic job. We saw an incredible surge in volunteer hours being reported through after that message. Several months later, the regional presidents met with their advisory councils and selected a top volunteer for each one of the regions. With great pleasure, I would like to present, out of the 9 nominees, the EMG selected the statewide winner. This person was selected based on the impact that he or she was having in the community, but also on the types of organizations that he or she was involved, and with the leadership role that he or she was taking on. I would like now to bring on the community president of the region where the nominee, the final winner of this award is based. Dennis Pedicic, could you please come in? Dennis is going to be awarding 2012 award. Go ahead.
Good evening. Tonight I have the honor of recognizing one of my employees as the RNA statewide 2012 Top Volunteer of the Year. The recipient of the 2012 Volunteer of the Year Award has been very involved in many aspects of the nonprofit sector in Napa County in the capacity of a volunteer, a fundraiser, and a board member. She currently serves as a president of the Board of Directors of Napa Emergency Women's Services, which provides services to more than 1,000 victims of domestic violence and sexual abuse. Let me share with you what Tracy Lamb, the executive director of News, had to say about our recipient. I cannot count the number of community events and fundraisers which she attends, but she is everywhere. From crab feeds, to raising money for food charities, to wine women in shoes for News, she not only attends, but she is a giver and has a great time doing it. I don't know exactly how to measure the difference one person can make in a community, but I do know that she would be at the top of the scale. She truly epitomizes what a community banker should be. Our recipient is also a recent graduate of Leadership Napa Valley Class 24 and was voted the valedictorian by her peers. Today, she continues to serve Leadership Napa Valley as a treasurer. Here's what Jill Teckel, mayor of Napa and program coordinator for Leadership Napa Valley, had to say about her. She couples great enthusiasm and skills with an amazing fun factor that makes her a joy to be around. She makes volunteering enjoyable. Who doesn't want to work with her? She values everyone and validates their contributions. Bill Dodd, Napa County Supervisor and Rabobank Napa Advisory Council member, writes, "She is known throughout the community as Ms. Rabobank. Excellence is something that she strives for. As an advisory council member, I am very proud of the work she does on behalf of Rabobank and our community at large. She is also a member of the Napa Women's Club, a service organization that provides many services to different sectors of the community. She's involved in Bank on Napa Valley, whose mission it is to connect working families and individuals to basic bank accounts and financial services that best meet their individual needs, assisting them to enter the financial mainstream." I could go on and on. One more example. According to Advisory Council member Jeannie Bennett, "In my opinion, there is no one more dedicated not only to her vocation, but to her community. She is always available when possible to add her valued time and energy to any organization that requests her assistance in making Napa County a better place to live. Since Rabobank is committed to not only providing excellent banking services to the community, but also supporting a culture of community involvement, I can think of no one else more deserving of the honor of Rabobank's Volunteer of the Year Award than Sandy Ray Sims." Please come forward.
My remarks will be very brief. I hope everybody enjoyed themselves this evening. First and foremost, I want to congratulate all the award winners. This is a very special night, and I think it's extremely appropriate that we do dedicate the night for the people that work so hard in this organization, to congratulate them, to acknowledge their successes. I know I was listening to each one of the awards as I read off tonight and said, extremely proud to be working and having people alongside of me that are so successful and so dedicated. So congratulations to the award winners. Tonight is yours. Enjoy it. Thank you very much for your time and attention tonight. Enjoy the rest of the evening. If we can have the award winners come up, please.